It's important always to have your some body organs checked in your body. I don't know when you last did that for yourself, but it is always important to ensure that you have your body frequently checked by health professionals to ensure that every organs of your body are performing accordingly or according to the way they are supposed to, because you'll find that most of the time when they realize that you've got a problem at a later stage, it is quite difficult for them to diagnose you or to put you on treatment. But if a situation or a condition is discovered earlier, it is easy for doctors to put you on medication. It is easy for doctors to treat your condition. Cancer, our former president has died of colon cancer, which is a sad thing, because it was one person who really championed the fight against cancer, and we hope that we could have him longer so that he can continue to pursue that desire that he had to ensure that cancer services are available in the country, so that many people who cannot, afford to go to these expensive health facilities can access them in our own local facilities. So we will remember him for that, of course, even as today he'll be put to rest, his final resting place. Yeah, like I always mention, Prudence, in as much as we mourn, but we should also celebrate his life. There's a lot of things he did for this country, So yeah, as we mourn him, we're also celebrating his life, just like what the former the head of state from Namibia said yesterday. He did mention that despite us mourning, we are not only going to mourn him, but we are going to celebrate his life, because this is a man who did so much, not only for Zambia, but other African countries. Yeah, and I mentioned earlier on the program to say during the time President RUPIAH BANDA was the president of the Republic of Zambia, we did see the kwacha perform better against other major convertibles. If I remember very well, during that time, our kwacha was trading around 6 kwacha, 7 kwacha, sometimes 5 kwacha against the United States dollar. So even right about now, we are going to take a look at how our Zambian currency is performing against other major convertibles. It's always important to know how is it that the local currency is performing, so that if you want to buy goods from outside the country, you will know exactly how the Zambian kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. So the Zambian kwacha against the British pound is buying at 23 kwacha 03 ngwe and selling at 23 kwacha 47 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the euro is buying at 18 kwacha 89 ngwe and selling at 19 kwacha 26 ngwe. The Zambian kwacha against the United States dollar is buying at 17 kwacha 57 ngwe and selling at 17 kwacha 90 ngwe. And the Zambian kwacha against the South African rand is buying at 1 kwacha 17 ngwe and selling at 1 kwacha 20 ngwe. So that is the money market for this morning. So if you are planning on buying goods in Britain, if you are planning on buying goods with the United States dollar, you know how much the kwacha is performing against other major convertibles. We have seen since last week and this week that the Zambian kwacha has been under pressure. If I remember very well, Miriam, last week Friday, the Zambian kwacha was buying at 18 kwacha and selling at 18 kwacha 37 ngwe. And of course this week, I think somewhere around Wednesday, we did see again our kwacha contract to 18 kwacha by the close of the business. So we have seen it trading around 17 kwacha, 18 kwacha, but we are hopeful that the Bank of Zambia is doing what they can to ensure that our local currency stabilizes. I'm hoping to get an interview with the Bank of Zambia governor with regards to what is happening on with our local currency and what sentiments the Bank of Zambia is putting in place. So hopefully in the 19 hours news, we can have the Bank of Zambia to just explain some of these things. So tune into Camnet TV to listen to what is happening with our local currency and how the government is ensuring that they table the issue of the local currency contracting. I think this has been an issue or a subject of concern from various stakeholders, including some politicians who are saying we have seen our president now, who said when he comes into power, the Zambian kwacha, of course, is going to appreciate. That has not yet happened, but of course there are certain factors in the market showing that play an important role in stabilizing our local currency. So hopefully we can have the Bank of Zambia governor, Dr. Danit Kalyalia, to explain why this has been the case. Yep, Prudence. And of course, for everyone who's watching us live or the in your houses, on the phone, on different gadgets. If you have any contribution that you have to make with regards to the life that President RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA lived and his contribution to the Zambian economy, you can call the lines that are on our screen right now to make your contributions. How is it that you will remember the fourth Republican
how you remember
president?
him? Yeah. How do you view his legacy? We want to hear from you. But right about now, we are going to play a song from the Peace Preachers. Yeah, a dedication to the fourth late president and also other presidents. So far, Prudence, we have already, as a country, Zambia, we have lost about 5 presidents. Five
Heads of state.
Yeah.
You know, this has not happened in other African countries before, because, you know, the heads of state are viewed as icons who make a huge contribution to the future generation. But Zambia has unfortunately lost 5 presidents. 5 presidents who have...
The first one being Mwanawasa, followed by Dr. Mwanawasa, followed by Chiluba, and then followed by the late Michael Sata, followed by Dr. Kaunda, who we buried last year, and now followed by our 4th Republican president, who is RUPIAH BANDA, Mr. RUPIAH BANDA. May his soul rest in peace, and our condolences to the family as well. But right about now, we'll go direct to that song by the Peace Preachers.
Maelelo lwendo lwenu tata Nabiye tuse umabukwe yakwe Mahombele chalo chesu na maka yose Nabiye ndikane umabukwe yakwe Nelo mwase chipunda Mwase chikoko Mwase chalo chilelila Imwe mwase misoa Mwase okulila Mwase Zambia ilelila Kamieni mutuse Imwe mwase chipunda Mwase chikoko Mwase chalo chilelila Ichalo chesu chilelila Mwase chipunde Mwase chikoko Mwase chalo chilelila
Matola njila yosawelela kumbuyo Injila yubabisha mutima wangu Nuona munga sote munga welele Tikaseki kumwetezo sekela Nuona munga sote munga welele Tikaweshi kuma siku ya dodala Nukuye wani leo Nakuye wani leo
Wechano wanilipa Masengena watemwikwa na kwete ine We mushiri Wenalenya ntampo chila mushiri Lelo wantambala likaine Wefwa walilipa Deimu kishaba mwana wasa Bana kila kumushiri waya Batata bachiluwa Bana kila banakila kumushiriwaya yepalume basata banakila kumushiriwaya batata bakaunda banakila kumushiriwaya tatane mwe balupia banakila kumushiriwaya lelo epepo Yesu wa Yesu tusungireni kwa baba shere entungulu shitu shere na sho balipya babiri ba Yesu akatika ba echi na batata balungu balelila yakwa basumana yae banakila kumushiri ba yae yakwa basumana yae batata balupia moya yae yakwa basumana yae ubulanda tukwete mutalo Yesu yakwa basumana
That was a song from the Peace Preachers dedicated to the 4th Republican President, RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA, during this morning period. That is a powerful song, Miriam.
Yeah, very good song. They did try to, you know, put in President Mwanawasa, Sata, Chiluba, Kaunda, you know, just to do a whole package of our late president. Yeah, a very good song.
Continue to mourn. It is indeed sad for the country, the beautiful ones that we had who served this country, unfortunately, are no more. The Peace Preachers are saying, Vana Kida Kumushili. They are gone. The Bible always says when someone is born, the next thing you expect is death. But we are hoping we can have our leaders for a longer period of time because their knowledge, their wisdom is needed for the future generation.
For the future generation.
Of course, now we only have one former head of state who's alive.
But you know what? Like I say, this is a time that we should celebrate his life. You know what? Because he has done so much for Zambia. Not only for Zambia. If you hear this, if you followed the proceedings of what transpired yesterday at the showgrounds, a lot of head of state did give testimony of how he contributed to countries across Africa. You know, he played a very huge role. And this is something that we should appreciate as a country and look forward and learn of these big things he did and small little things he did, so that we are able to learn and move forward as a country. We are able to adopt. And also the young generation should also, you know, there's need for proper documentation so that we appreciate his work as we move forward as a nation. You know, you've said something, and it reminds me of what Mnangagwa said yesterday, the Zimbabwean president, where he said, you know, RUPIAH BANDA actually grew up in Zimbabwe. And, you know, there was a lot of laughter at the funeral. And when the Namibian president came, he said, you called him as someone who grew up in Zimbabwe. For me, I'll tell you to say, he was the first Namibian president. Because during the liberation period and when Namibia was
going through a process of court proceedings and everything, they had to choose leaders who had to spearhead that process. And our late president, RUPIAH BANDA, was the person who was selected to chair that committee. So for him, it called him the first Namibian president, and Mnangagwa called him a son of the soil because he grew up in Zimbabwe. It was such a lovely time, and all the tributes that were paid to the fourth Republican president by the former heads of state is a testimony to a kind of a person he was. So even for you, our viewer, how do you remember the life of RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA and his contribution to the Zambian economy? The phone lines are open if you want to make a contribution of how he will be remembered, even as he is put to his final resting place today. You can call through and make those contributions.
And you know, the other thing that, you know, it made me smile, I think it made other people smile, Prudence, when the former Botswanan president said, you know, President Banda was too nice to be a politician. And people were like, why did he say that? Why did he say that? And then he said, I'm not saying that all politicians are bad, but he was just too nice.
And he said, some politicians, of course, are bad. And Mr. Banda was just too nice to be a politician. So to just maybe make you understand what is it that we are talking about, we are going to play what the former Zimbabwean president, Ian Serensi Kama, said about RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA yesterday at his tribute.
I first remember meeting President Banda on another very sad occasion, which was at the funeral of President Munawasa. It was on that occasion and on many others, I was struck by his charm, his warmth and kindness, his father-like character, for he had such a gentle and uniting and wonderful personality. I always used to say to him, I thought he was too nice to be a politician. I don't mean that all politicians are not nice. Some are nice, but there are others who are definitely not. So when you think of the rough and tumble of politics, its unpleasantness, sometimes its divisiveness, how it can be dirty by nature, I could not imagine such a decent person like him engaging in such a political arena. I can also remember when we used to attend occasions like SADC summits, you could tell that here was a leader who represented his country, Zambia, very diligently and passionately, and cared so much for our region and its people, speaking comprehensively and with well thought out interventions on any subject. Even after his presidential term of office, despite the false accusations against him and the challenges that he faced from his successor, which is what I am also going through, he was not bitter, nor did it change the man he was. He continued giving his wise counsel right to the end. And when he invited me to visit him here in Zambia just a few weeks ago, despite his frail condition, he was the perfect host with his trademark kindness and generosity. We discussed also our involvement, his and mine, in a new initiative to be taken place in one of the countries in our region. Whilst I was here also, I also had the opportunity during that visit to pay a courtesy call on His Excellency Mr. Hichilema. I came away from that meeting with the President so impressed with his vision and plans for Zambia and its people. I remember that when I was new in office, we were hit by a world recession, just like President Banda, and how that negatively affected the plans I had for my country. And you also, Your Excellency, President Hichilema, inheriting what you did, plus the COVID pandemic, and your plans for the post-COVID economic recovery. And now also, on top of that, we have this senseless war which is being waged by Vladimir Putin on the people of Ukraine, killing the elderly, the disabled, killing women, killing children, killing pregnant women. The economic impact is already being felt, and it will get worse. But you, Your Excellency, HH, I don't know, am I allowed to call you HH? Thank you. You are the best man during these challenging times to lead your nation, Zambia, through this. I hope the people of Zambia will be patient whilst you steer your country and people through this difficult period that is not of your making. Because I'm sure your own plans that you had for this country have been negatively affected. And now, I would like to end with a prayer. I would like to pray for your leader, that Lord God, you are the builder of all things. Bless the leader of Zambia to work together for the good of all his people. Grant them humility, and we pray especially for your servant, President Hichilema. Grant him your wisdom and love to lead your people, the Zambian people, in your ways of peace and prosperity. And to the family, we pray that merciful God, whose wisdom is beyond our understanding, surround the family of our brother RUPIAH with your love, that they may not be overwhelmed by their loss, but have confidence in your goodness and strength to meet the days to come. We ask this through Christ our Lord. And finally, I pray for the soul of our President Banda. Blessed be the God and Father of our Lord Jesus Christ, who has blessed us all with the gift of this earthly life and has given to our brother RUPIAH his span of years and gifts of character. God our Father, we thank you now for all his life, for every memory of love and joy, for every good deed done by him and every sorrow shared with us. We thank you for his life and for his death. We thank you for the rest in Christ he now enjoys. We thank you for giving him to us. We thank you for the glory we shall share together. Let light perpetual shine upon them. May his soul and the souls of the departed, through the mercy of God, rest in peace. Thank you for your attention.
Former Botswanan President Ian Serensikama, who was paying his last tribute to the late Fourth Republican President, Fourth Republican President RUPIAH Banda, who will be put to rest, of course, today. So that was the highlight of yesterday's program. In case you are just tuning in, we are trying to pay the tribute to the Fourth Republican President, who will, of course, be put to rest today at the Presidential Embassy Park. And
I'm just trying to run you through of what transpired yesterday at the showgrounds, where we had different foreign dignitaries, local dignitaries, dignitaries, government officials, you know, coming to pay their tribute to the fourth Republican president, Mr. RUPIAH BANDA, who died on the 11th of March 2022. May his soul rest in peace. But as we mourn, we also celebrate his life, looking at a lot of things he has achieved and accomplished as our president and as Africa at large, because we saw a lot of testimony coming through from different foreign head of states who were just trying to inform us that he did play a very huge role in terms of contributing to other African countries. Yeah, he was a good man.
And of course, the former Botswanan President Khama did mention to the fact that we need to give time to the now President Hakainde Hichilema to take us through this difficult period that we are going through as a country. He also mentioned to say he is the right person to take us through this period that we are going through as a country. So
exactly.
Maybe
and he hopes that Zambians will be patient with the president. So to say during this transition, during the time he's leading us through these difficult times, looking at the economic hardship that we're facing as a country, he says, I hope Zambians will be very patient with you and give you time to lead them, because I know you have great plans for your country. He believes that.
Yeah, of course. Remember that this program is paying tribute to the fourth Republican President, RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA, who will be put to rest today at the Presidential Embassy Park. And of course, we are playing some of the clips that were yesterday, Miriam, aired on various platforms with regards to what other heads of state, former heads of state, foreign dignitaries had to say about the life of Mr. RUPIAH BANDA, who left us on 11th of March 2022 and will be put to rest today. And of course, Miriam, we also saw other foreign dignitaries who came through also pay their tribute to the late president. So we are going to hear what other foreign heads of state had to say.
Okay, seems like
Pastors Victoria and Moses Chiruba, the board and management of Camnet Television, the leadership and church members of the Healing Word Ministries International convey our deepest condolences to the widow, children, grandchildren, and great-grandchildren of our late former Fourth Republican President of the Great Republic of Zambia, His Excellency RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA. May his soul rest in eternal peace.
Okay, we are celebrating, of course, remembering the life of the fourth Republican President, RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA, who left us on 11th of March 2022. And of course, for you, our viewer out there who are watching this program, we would like to hear from you. How is it that you will remember the late former head of state, Mr. Banda. How is it that you will remember him, his contribution to the Zambian economy? And of course, yesterday, Miriam, the president, Hakainde Hichilema, said something very interesting about Mr. Banda, to say, you know, it's very difficult to see someone be in the service for over 60 years.
That's a long time.
That's a very long time. And our former head of state, RUPIAH Banda, just did that.
Yeah.
He was in the service for over 60 years. He started his career at the age of 28 when he was sent as a foreign dignitary in one of these foreign countries. Of course, we are going to play you that clip that was done by President Hakainde Hichilema when he paid his tribute to just highlight some of the moments and what the former head of state, RUPIAH Banda, did for this country. But all we know is that he served this country for over 60 years. What a legacy, Miriam.
Yeah. A very, very good legacy. But before we went on a short break, we were supposed to play a clip, one of the clip. I'm sure our transmission people are preparing that clip. We'll be able to play it later on during the show. But Prudence, President Banda is someone who saved the country for only 3 years, from 2008 to 2011, and he did so much, you know. And we have a lot of testimony coming through from different people, as well as foreign head of states. This is something I should say that a lot of young people should emulate, you know, and try to follow this footstep, so that as we move forward as a country, we're able to, point out, this is what we are doing as a country. You know, we need to emulate from such leadership, because this is a very, very great achievement. Yeah.
Of course, Miriam, 60 years in public service. What a legacy, what a man, 60 years. Even President Hakainde Hichilema did mention to say it is very difficult for someone to serve in the public service for over 60 years. And that is what the former head of state, RUPIAH BWEZANI Banda, just did for this country. What a legacy.
Exactly.
I keep insisting, what a legacy.
It is. And also, Prudence, I think from what transpired yesterday at the showground during the state funeral, we had, I think, about 3 or 4 foreign heads of states who did mention that President Banda, Prudence, did play a very huge role in terms of the transition of power from the Patriotic Front to the UPND, now the current administration. He did play an important part in the terms of mediating, a very, very important part.
Yes, and of course, President Hakainde Hichilema mentioned to the fact that what we see,
so
what we have heard, is only on the surface. When former head of state RUPIAH Banda organized that meeting between President Hakainde Hichilema and President Edgar Lungu, the 60th Republican president, a lot was discussed, more than what we have seen and more than what we have heard. So I know that Mr. Banda played an important role in the transition of power from the Patriotic Front to the now government that we have, and we are enjoying that democracy and the freedom. And you know, the whole world has been talking about how there was a smooth transition in Zambia from the former Patriotic Front government to the United Party for National Development. But they always say behind a successful man is a woman, but this time we'll say behind the successful government in Zambia there was a former head of state,
which is Mr. RUPIAH Banda, just like any other president who also contributed to this great nation. And right about now, Prudence, we are going to play our clip. I'm told it's ready, so we'll catch you on the other side.
It is very difficult for anyone to thrive in the public service for over 60 years. These were Zambia's Republican President Hakainde Hichilema's tribute words to the 4th Republican President RUPIAH Banda, who he says served the country for over 60 years. The president, who was speaking at the funeral proceeding of the late former head of state, says Mr. Banda will be remembered for the role he played in uniting the country. President Hichilema cited that more was discussed between him and the former President Edgar Lungu at a meeting convened by Mr. Banda after the 12th August 2021 general elections, which contributed to the smooth transition of power.
Indeed, he, together with President Kikwete, together with President Bai Ernest Koroma, former President of Sierra Leone, sat the two of us, President Lungu and myself, at President Banda's house, and we discussed a lot. What you have been hearing is only on the surface, is only superficial. A lot was discussed, a lot. That which was discussed helped this country to be where we are today, to be able to mourn him together, not in separate locations.
Among other heads of state who attended the funeral proceedings of Mr. Banda is Zimbabwean President Emmerson Mnangagwa, who has described Mr. Banda as a humble leader whose sophistication was embedded in his humbleness.
In Zimbabwe, we remember the late former President RUPIAH as a man who understood that Zambia could not be an island of peace and prosperity if its neighbors like Zimbabwe still battle with instability and Western sanctions.
A Namibian president has also described Mr. Banda as a selfless leader who always put the interest of the people first.
RUPIAH Banda. RUPIAH Banda became the president of what was called as the Council for Namibia. Since UN took over responsibility over Namibia, they created the government, so to say, in exile. And RUPIAH Banda was the president of that council. Because of that, he was the first president of Namibia.
Son to the late fourth president Henry Banda has described his father as a statesman who dedicated his time to not only saving the country but also his family.
For me, Dad, I told you on your birthday, it all started with you as a father, strong and reassuring. Then you became my guiding light, teaching me to be kind but firm. And now you are my friend, the one I share stresses with, but more often, all those exciting milestones that life has thrown our way. Sleep well, Dad. You are the best father a man could ask for.
Mr. Banda, who died at the age of 85 after losing the battle to cancer, is expected to be put to rest at the Presidential Embassy Park on Friday, 18th January 2022 in Lusaka. Prudence Jota, reporting for Camnet.
So that is, those were just some of the highlights that were happening yesterday at the showground. That was a story done by one of our reporter, Prudence Jota, who is my colleague in the studio as well, who are sharing the set. Prudence, like I mentioned earlier, we saw different head of states, you know, appreciating the late president, our late president. And also the part you mentioned that he did not only save Zambia, but also Namibia. He was the Namibian president.
Yeah, so the Namibian president called him. He was the first Namibian president because of the role he played in that country.
In that country, yes. You know, it's something that we want to see as we move on, you know. When you leave a good legacy, people will be able to appreciate you and just see how you played an important part in terms of bringing development to the country and helping others. But also not to forget the fact that his son, Henry Banda, said despite him being there for the country, he did also play the role of a father figure. You know, he was there for his family despite being there despite being the country's president, he was
despite having served the country for over 60 years. I'm emphasizing that one because, you know, it's a puzzle. Someone served in the public service for over 60 years. That was a life of Mr. RUPIAH Banda, but he did not neglect the family. He was always a father figure in the lives of his children, in the lives of his family and many other persons that his life touched. What a legacy. I'm going to keep insisting on that one until this program is done, because, you know, when I think of someone who dedicates 60 years of their life to saving the country, that's a lot of time.
Nowadays you would find someone just to, because of course our retirement age is 50 something, 65, yeah. So you'll find by the time someone reaches 50, they're like, I don't want to work anymore, you know. They retire and then go and
by then, Miriam, you'll notice maybe they've only served the country for 30 years. They are 50 and they are already tired. You find that they've served the country, others for 40 years, others for even 20 years, others 25, and they'll say, you know, I want to retire from the public service and I want to do something else. But our former head of state dedicated 60 years of his life to serving in the public service. That was a man who's worth celebrating. And today, of course, we will be bringing you live updates at the funeral proceeding of the late president and, of course, to the Presidential Embassy Park where he will be put to rest. So just stay tuned to Camnet TV to follow the proceedings of the funeral of the late president. You can also follow us on our different media platforms. That's on Facebook. We'll be live to bring you some of those updates and highlights of the burial of the 4th Republican president, Mr. RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA. Yeah, not forget to mention that the funeral proceeding, the burial proceedings will be attended by different dignitaries who we saw yesterday at the showgrounds, the former heads of states, the current head of states, and other foreign dignitaries who are presenting their countries. So Camnet TV will be able to bring you live proceedings with regards to what will be transpiring at the funeral of our late Republican, 4th Republican President, Mr. RUPIAH BANDA. But right about now, we will play a song, one of the dedication to our late President, and catch us on the other side.
We will accept the results. We are a democratic party, and we know no other way.
That passion is about love. We must love one another.
Ibalume ya talo Jesu ya umuvyaji wesu ya halale mutibote until we meet again. Halale mutibote until we meet again. Charlie ni pachungolo chintuche kofyene bila ya fika tatu kuna tusha yangu wefifi watu ponena buchitukala lufyafya bafyashi busaba tutika baya tata kasi wefo wabashandi ibalume ya talo Jesu ya umuvyaji wesu ya halale mutibote until we meet again. Halale mutibote until we meet again. Napukute filamba momenso Baya fyaka baratintushe Namona fikumbili afita Kanshi kuleisa malilo Ala wifa walibipo Watu sindele mutimu kwa wesube Watote menwewa mutibote until we meet again. Lupia muntu wa mutendele Enzeli bechi fukwa na muntu aliyese Pali pose pia kala Bantu wose benzo seka Mwenzo kwila nisa chalo chatu dadi Majoksi ya notisa ya ewa Kani tundila Papa lupia mulale mutibote Okay Tuka mutulo na umfue misoa ati lelo wakateka wabika pwelo ba ilesa tulo leke shepo Dei mufila mbefyo twalu fyanya nindo Nine rapa tindile mulwimbo Shawa solwe chalenga chikonko 50 plus epo topoko untungwa Koma kumfwa tatwa wapwa ntungwa Mwe malida na tuendele fechapa Mwe misepela nekalamba na tuendele fechapa mo Tafi balansa nangu kwesho kushikamo Mushili twala lepula Wafule wotwa shikamo Mavi
Alale muchibote Alale muchibote Until we meet again Alale muchibote Alale muchibote Until we meet again
A very beautiful song dedicated to our late 4th Republican President, Mr. RUPIAH BANDA. I love the way the song was done, and you know, some of the messages were that we'll miss your jokes. You know, it was someone who used to joke with people. Despite being someone who was there as viewed, you know, as a serious man in terms of serving the nation, but there were also light moments about him where he used to joke with people, you know, make all those sort of fans. This is something that this clip also did mention in one. They mentioned in one of their messages that we will miss your jokes. This is something that we hope to see you soon as we get to meet in heaven. But anyway,
yeah, it was indeed
keep
a
on celebrating his life. Yeah,
of course, joking with people. But in case you're just tuning into Camnet TV, we would like to hear from you. How is it that you will remember our former head of state, RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA? How did he contribute to your life? You know, I was joking with someone the other day, and he was telling me, you know, to say during RUPIAH BANDA's time was the time that I got a job. By then, I only had a grade 12 certificate. But I got a job during that time, and I was getting a good substantial amount of money. My salary kept increasing almost all the time, and we saw a change when there was a change of government, because when the government changed, definitely I lost my job, because the company that I was working for, the government that took over power could not sign the contract with them. Like, they terminated their contract. It was a company, of course, that dealt in the supplying of fertilizer, but when there was change of government, the company unfortunately could not sign the contract, so they had to leave. And I remember he was telling me quite a number of people lost their jobs during that time, including that person. So I was telling me, you know, I remember RUPIAH BANDA because during his time, that's the time I got a job. And after getting a job, because I couldn't pay for my school, after I got that job, I was able to enroll at Mulongoshi University, and I used part of the resources that I earned in that job to pay for my school until I completed my degree.
Those are great achievements. Indeed,
of course.
They're great achievements, Prudence. So, you know, when you remember someone for such great achievements, you know, they'll always be there in your mind.
They'll always be there, of course.
Exactly. So, it's a beautiful thing. As we mourn him, we'll also celebrate his life.
Of course.
Yeah. He was the father of the nation.
Yeah, and of course we want to hear from you. How is it that you remember him? What legacy do you have about our former head of state, who will be put to rest today at the Presidential Embassy Park in Lusaka, where we will be flashing some live updates starting from the change proceedings to where it will be put to his place of rest. So what is your comment or contribution? What do you remember President RUPIAH BANDA for during his tenure? We would like to hear from you, and of course just pay your last tribute to him, even as we finally put him to his final resting place.
Yep. In case you are just joining us, every day on Fridays we always look at business, but because of the current state that we are in, we are mourning, so we have dedicated this show to our late fourth Republican president, Mr. Banda, so that we're able to just give you updates, some highlights of what transpired yesterday, as well as also update you of what will be happening this morning as he will be put to rest. So, okay, we have a caller. Hello, good morning. Hello, good morning.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much. You're through to the program. Tell us your name and where you're calling us from. Can you hear me?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Thank you very much. Reverend Mandiri on the line. Good morning to you, ladies.
Good morning. Thank you. It's been a while, Reverend. How are you?
I'm permanently blessed. And how are you?
We are permanently blessed.
We are permanently blessed.
Thank you so very much. You're joining your topic of discussion on remembering the first of the president. RUPIAH was a BANDA next to RSP. I remember this president, I think even way before he was president, because I got to know about his political life, and I think that is what actually brought me to get to know the person. So that he could political life again under the party and the government. And so, like many other people, you know, he's a man of many factors. So I remember him for the positive, I also remember him for the negative. And I think that oftentimes people, we don't like to talk about what sides of our life, that's the matter of the person. But I think it's important what you are saying for, because much more than just, you know, to articulate what you remember the person for, because of the contribution to humanity, to society, and the world at large. I think that it's important also to draw lessons. For me, I think that is the most, important thing for us to be able to say what are the lessons that we can draw from, you know, those that have gone ahead of us. And in this case, remembering now the fourth Republican president, Mr. Banda. So for me, I think it's the determination coming from as way back as, you know, his youthful age or his youthful life when he was still a young man. I think like many of his peers, we have a bit of thing that I think are still alive and ended. So you find that they had that determination, they had that zeal, they had that commitment to want to contribute to our country, the world, you know, our society. Part of what we are able to see, whether it's documented in pictorial form or video form, we see that there were these young people that were passionate about, you know, serving their own country, and that's what we see today. So I think those are very valuable lessons that, you know, both the young and the old should be able to learn from the person I know, like, you know, President Banda. You know, that they were not young people that were, you know, outside of young people that were, you know, grateful in terms of how they spend their lives, that they were serious and committed to wanting to make a better society. And I think their contribution speaks for itself, because from that period of life as young people, all the way to the time of his demise, we've seen that, you know, I think the part of most of his legacy has been that of contributing to his country in terms of, you know, the political life of his nation, as well as between that on the region and the international stage. That is a man that has been, you know, said to be, you know, a diplomat, you know, a successful diplomat. So I think these, you know, factors about Mr. Banda should be lessons that we should draw. I think that will help our nation remembering and celebrating the life of a person on mourning. For those that will be mourning, I think for me, he has done his bit and what he has done to celebrate his life and to draw lessons from, you know, the life of a man like Mr. RUPIAH Banda, so that then we can begin to see how we can utilize those experiences and the knowledge and the contribution of such a man in terms of, impacting today's generation. Tomorrow become, leaders of the country, because, like we say in a mother tongue, that Papa and women people are empowered. So we have a generation that tomorrow take over leadership. So what should be the remembrance of this man? It is to draw the lesson of his life in terms of his contribution to this country. I think that that is why therefore that I think we need to do more in terms of documenting our history, in terms of the struggle for our independence and the aftermath, because there are great lessons that we can learn. I was speaking to Alex the other day in the Camnet, and I was saying that one of the things that hurts my heart is when I hear people today say, no administration has ever done what they have done. Now, I think that the generation of, and I say this without sincerity of heart, the generation of President Banda and that time led by President Kaunda as Republican president, they did not just struggle for the independence of this, they laid the foundation that I think those of us that have some knowledge about where we are coming from. Because I read that in the administration, so I know what I'm talking about. They had their own shortcomings and failures, but in terms of the foundation themselves was a very solid and strong foundation that I think we are yet to be. And those are the lessons we should be able to draw from men like RUPIAH Banda. They are not them, they have their own place, but I think in terms of their contribution, the record is unbeatable because it was driven by passion and wanting to make a better society. And this is the foundation that we are building on. But this generation, it appears to be wasteful and abuseful of the privileges, the opportunities, and even the resources that we have. The resources then, when they took over from the colonial masters, they used the natural resources to develop this country. Most of the universities that exist today, like Mulza, TP, and all these, they are built by the resources that were tapped from our nation. Imagine if we were abusing of the public resources and wasteful and self-centered, wouldn't have the Zambia that we have today. Most of even, the openings of the roads and all that leading to northeast, southwest of this country were done under, the leadership of men like the RUPIAH Banda, this generation. And so for me, my emphasis is to draw lessons and to remember the life of a man like RUPIAH Banda, their achievements, but also their shortcomings, because that will help us to build a better society for the generation that are here today and generations yet unborn. Thank you so very much, and have a blessed day as we remember this great man and the today.
Thank you so much.
Reverend Duli from within Lusaka, of course, has given a lot of important things, Miriam, that we can draw as lessons from the life of the former head of state, RUPIAH Banda. He says he had his own positive part and his negative, his shortcomings, but all that should be lessons. And then also, Miriam is mentioned to the fact that whenever there is something that happens, a success, you should know that there is someone who laid a foundation. So he's saying, our former fathers, that is the Kenneth Kaunda, we had Chiluba, we had Mwanawasa, and then RUPIAH Banda. All these were laying a foundation to what we are seeing, or the achievements we are seeing now. So people should not say, I've done this and this has never happened, because there are people who laid a foundation, and he has described Mr. RUPIAH Banda as one person who laid a foundation for this country, and he says the future generation can draw lessons from what Mr. Banda did. It's very
important. Like I said, if we want to see our country develop, we should learn from people like him, how he positively contributed to our country, Zambia, and also the world at large. We should draw lessons from that.
And this just reminds me of...
He also spoke about proper documentation. We should also put this in our history. Our Zambian, we don't usually learn this. Our history in school is something else. You learn about these other people.
Yeah, exactly.
It's high time that we also have these people in our history, so that as young people are growing up, as early as they are in their secondary schools, they're able to understand and just see how these people contributed to this great nation, Prudence.
Of course, Miriam, and that's a very important aspect. I think we need the documentation of what these leaders did, and we need people to be learning about this at the early age. There is no way we can be learning about, you know, things that happened in South Africa, things that happened in other countries, while we don't talk about
our own things.
How our own things, our own people have contributed to the development of this country. I hope our leaders out there are listening. We need proper documentation of what some of the achievements of these leaders have been to the country. And of course, Miriam, this brings me to another aspect. When we speak about, you know, every person has the positive and the negative part. They have their own weaknesses and their strength. Yesterday, we had a chat with one of the lawyers to Fred Membe, the time our former head of state, RUPIAH Banda, decided to take the Post newspaper to courts for some of the happenings or the deeds at that time. You know what? The lawyer who was representing Mr. Membe said at that point, he said, you know, even when Mr. Banda did that, there's one important lesson that we should draw from him. He respected the rule of law. He did not interfere with the legal proceedings at that time. He allowed the court to do their job in the manner that was befitting the court. He also mentioned to the fact that despite that having been the case, he did not shut any media institution during his tenure as president. He allowed freedom of expression. He allowed the media, you know, to criticize, to say all manner of things. Where he felt this is too much, he decided to take the matter to the court. But even during that time, he allowed the courts to do the job in the way they were supposed to do. And the lawyer said, you know, it is something that when I sit and think about, I tell myself, this was a good man. This was a good man. Despite that having been the case, he allowed the courts, he did not interfere with the court proceedings. He allowed the court to go ahead and make their own judgment and ruling pertaining to that. He mentioned to say, you know, we did not see a situation where RUPIAH Banda went ahead and said, I'm going to shut and close this media institution. He allowed them to continue operating freely, even when the matter was before the courts. So, you know,
but I'm also happy that this time around, when the current head of state, Mr. Hakainde Hichilema, took office, he did assure the media that he will let them operate independently without any interference. But media houses have we also have a responsibility, you know, to make sure that we don't injure someone's reputation on purpose and stuff like that. So those are
an important role to play to ensure that we do censorship with some of the things that we bring out. We are not here to kill or do anything. We are here to inform, educate, and entertain
as well,
of course. So what a man Mr. RUPIAH Banda was. But in case you're just tuning in to Camnet TV, we would also like to hear from you. How is it that you're going to remember Mr. RUPIAH BWEZANI Banda, who was the 4th Republican President of Zambia? And of course, you know, every person has got their shortcomings. So we would want to hear some of all the things that you have learned. What has been your lesson, and what is it that you want to see from us and the generation to come with regards to the lessons that we can draw from the life of Mr. Banda?
So right about now, we'll go direct in playing one of our clips. I did mention earlier that we saw the former Tanzanian president also mentioning to the fact about the role the late president played in terms of during the transition of power from the Patriotic Front to the now current administration, which is the UPND. So let's play the clip and just see what we are talking about.
Your Excellency Hakainde Hichilema, President of the Republic of Zambia, and Her Excellency First Lady Mutinta Hichilema, Mrs. Tandiwe Banda, former First Lady of Zambia, members of the Banda family, Excellencies, Heads of State and Government, former heads of state and government, honorable ministers, members of the diplomatic corps, representatives of international organizations, fellow mourners, ladies and gentlemen. I'm here to represent Her Excellency Samia Suluhu Hassan, President of the United Republic of Tanzania. She sincerely apologizes for not being able to join Your Excellency and the people of Zambia during this somber and difficult moment of mourning the untimely passing of His Excellency RUPIAH BWEZANI BANDA, fourth President of this great country. Today is the 17th of March. It's exactly the day when President Magufuli died, and there is commemoration of his first year. She has sent me to convey her deepest condolences to Your Excellency, to former First Lady Thandiwe Banda, to the Banda family, and to all the people of Zambia. President Samia Suluhu Hassan would like to let Your Excellency, the deceased family, and the Zambian people know that the death of former President RUPIAH Banda is a profound loss not only to the people of Zambia, but also to the leadership and the people of Tanzania. You are not alone. Tanzania has lost a great friend and a comrade in arms. During his time as Zambia's diplomat, foreign minister, and later president, he was instrumental in promoting and advancing the friendship and bilateral relations between our two brotherly nations. The excellent bilateral, political, diplomatic, and socio-economic relations between Zambia and Tanzania are what they are today, thanks in many ways to the contribution made by His Excellency RUPIAH BWEZANI Banda. There is also RUPIAH Banda's footprint in the liberation of the nations of Southern Africa, in the regional integration agenda under the auspices of SADC. At the continental level, he will be remembered for being a staunch believer and promoter of African unity, and at the global level, he will be remembered as a promoter of world peace and a tireless fast fighter for a fair and just political and economic order. The death of former President Banda has robbed Madam Thandiwe Banda, a loving husband, and his family, a loving father and grandfather and guardian. No words can really help to ease your pain and sense of loss. President Samia Suluhu says she shares your pain and sorrow, and her thoughts and prayers are with you. The death of President RUPIAH Banda has robbed the people of Zambia one of her greatest sons. He was a man of great intellect and wisdom, a leader who undoubtedly was a great patriot. He had great love for his country and ready to put national interest first before his personal interest. You will recall, Your Excellency, I was here during the last elections, leading the Commonwealth election observers. Seeing the way things were developing, I deemed it important to consult the former president to get his wise counsel, particularly on the prevailing situation and how to navigate our way safely, and most importantly, how to manage the aftermath of the elections. I called him and asked to see him. He readily accepted. Of course, he was an old friend of mine. When he was when he and I were presidents, we worked closely together. We exchanged visits. And I'm sure Your Excellency will remember when President Banda and I were at Mazabuka attending a chief's gathering. You came there unannounced. And it caused a bit of uneasiness because of your popularity. Excellency, when I met President Banda, I inquired about his health because he had intimated to me earlier on in one of our conversations that he was not well. He told me that he was still fighting, and actually he was supposed to go for his other cycle of treatment abroad, but he postponed because of the elections. I did not hide my uneasiness and fear about his decision, but he said he wanted to use his democratic right to vote, but more importantly, he wanted to be useful in any possible way after the elections. He admitted to me that he was worried things may not be as easy or as smooth as it was supposed to be. Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, what more evidence do you need for demonstration of patriotism than this? He was risking his life for the sake of his country and his people. RUPIAH BWEZANI Banda did that, and I am witness. I also explained to him that besides visiting him as a friend and wanted to consult on the developments in the Zambian election process, as we were seeing it, after highly engaging discussions, we agreed to do everything possible within our power to ensure peaceful elections. Me and my part as leading the Commonwealth Observer Mission, but him as a former president and as a Zambian patriot.
Thank you so much for still staying tuned to Camnet TV. So those were some of the tributes or the words that were mentioned about the former head of state, RUPIAH Banda, by the former Tanzanian President Miriam.
Prudence, I love the fact that the former head of state of Tanzania mentioned that the late Republican president, you know, instead of going for his treatment abroad, he postponed it. Because of the elections we had last year in August. He said he wanted to be useful, you see, because he was afraid that things will not be the way, you know, they would be. So he wanted to be useful after the elections and see how possible way he can help. Imagine postponing your own treatment and then just to stay around.
This is why I'm saying the man's service and commitment to serving the country was at another level. That's why he managed to be in public service for over 60 years. 60 years of his life, he dedicated it to public service. And imagine this is a man who's battling cancer of the colon. And then he realizes that there is an election coming.
I need to play my part.
Instead of me traveling so that my situation can be tabled, I'll put my health aside.
Risk. Yeah, he did put his life at risk and said, no, I need to do this for the country, you know, for the development and betterment of the country. And this is he demonstrated true patriotism, you know, patriotism. So it's a great thing that we should learn from as young generation and just draw lessons and say, okay, this is how our former leader, you know, did, and these are some of the lessons that we should pick as we move ahead, you know, and develop as a country.
Personally, I am celebrating the life of this man. You know, I feel touched, Miriam. This is a person who's battling cancer of the colon. And, you know, people fight just to be alive. He knew to say, when I go and get treatment, I might not be cured, but the treatment can prolong my life for some time. But there is an election that is happening in my country. And this election, if not well handled, can lead to a disaster. I don't want to see that. I would rather not prolong my life, but be there for my statesmen, be there for my country, to ensure that there is a smooth transition of power so that democracy, peace can prevail in Zambia. He put his life.
You know, as a country, we've continued to enjoy this peace, this unity, and we want to see that, you know, we want to see that as we move ahead as a country, as we are developing, trying to reach to be a middle-income country. This is what we want to see. And he understood. He understood because he had the desire and the passion to save the people of Zambia. And this is what we want to see from our leaders. Not for their selfish gain, but to have the desire to save the people of Zambia. Because this one is for the generation coming. To come.
It's left us with a very important gift and a very important lesson. My treatment, I'm putting you aside. I will put my country first. If I die, I die. But all I want to see is peace prevail in my country. And 6 months after the election, we have lost our former head of state, RUPIAH, BWEZANI, BANDA.
Sad reality.
It is really sad.
But as we mourn, we celebrate his life.
It's worth celebrating. His life is worth celebrating. 65 years, over 60 years, pardon me, of public service. And at the time when a person has to battle cancer of the colon, he decides to put his treatment aside to ensure that there was a smooth transition of power. What a man. And what a legacy. So always, there's a beginning and the end to something. His life began and it has ended. And of course, there was a beginning of this program, and unfortunately...
And a man of God, Chogrand, did mention when he was preaching during the service there, he said, death is something that you don't need to qualify for. You don't need a qualification for death. When you are born, just know that you will die someday in future. But when you die, how do you want to be remembered? What did you contribute to this great nation? Yeah,
important lessons to draw from.
So right about now, we have come to the end of our program, Prudence, and Camnet TV will still bring you live updates with regards to what will be happening this morning at the funeral procession of our late fourth Republican President, Mr. RUPIAH BANDA. We'll be bringing you live stream so that you'll be able to follow the proceedings in the comfort of your home. And we will close with a song which we earlier played during our show by the Peace Preacher. A very beautiful song, Prudence. It's touching, but we will remember we'll remember our presidents, not only Mr. Banda, because as a country we have already lost 5 presidents. The first was Dr. Patrick Mwanawasa, followed by Chiluba, and then we had Michael Satan. Then we had, last year we saw our founding father, Dr. Kaunda, leaving us. Now we have the 4th Republican President, Mr. Banda. A very sad reality for Zambia. Already we have lost 5 presidents. It's not easy as a country, but as we move forward, we keep on drawing lessons from what we have learned from them and how we would want to move ahead as a country, and just put those things that we have learned from them into practice. So we'll close with a song from the Peace Preachers. For me and Prudence, it's bye-bye, and God bless you.
Mwaendelo lwendo lwenu tata Kabiye tuse umabukwe yakwe Mwahombele chalo chesu na maka yose Kabiye ndikane umabukwe yakwe Nelo mwase chipunda Mwase chikoko Mwase chalo chilelila Imwe mwase misoa Mwase kulila Mwase Zambia ilelila Kamieni mutuse Imwe mwase chipunda Mwase chikoko Mwase chalo chilelila Ichalo chesu chilelila Mwase chipunda Mwase chikoko Mwase chalo chilelila
Matola njila yosawelela kumbuyo Injila yubabisha mutima wangu Nuona munga sote munga welele Tikaseki kumwetezo sekela Nuona munga sote munga welele Tukaweshi kuma siku ya dala Nukuye wani leo Nakuye wani leo
Wechano wanivipa Masendela watemwikwa na kwete ine We mushiri Wenalenya ntambo china mushiri Lelo wantambalalika ine Wefwa walilipa Neimu kishaba mwana wasa Banakila kumushiri waya Batata bachiluwa Banakila kumushiri waya Yempalume basata Banakila kumushiri waya Batata bakaunda Banakila kumushiri waya Tatane Kila kumushiri mwaya Lelo epepo Yesu wa Yesu Tusungire ni kwa baba shere Etungulu shitu shere na sho Balipya babiri ba Yesu Akatika ba echi Na batata balungu Baleli